So the one piece of advice that I am always giving my clients is be reasonable. And once again, that comes down on the parallel tracks of you have to be reasonable for a professional purpose and you have to be reasonable for a personal purpose. You have to be reasonable professionally because strategically that is the best approach. When you appear before a judge and the judge wants to know what your position is on, say, parenting time or support or the distribution of assets, it is so important that the judge hear you take a reasonable position on that issue. Because how you present on one issue is how the court is going to judge you as a litigant overall. And you always want the judge to have that presumption of reasonableness. That judge knows when you say something, when something comes out of your mouth and you're asking for something reasonable, the judge will presume that what you're doing is the right thing. I've been practicing for 25 years. And this has been my mantra for 25 years. And I'm able to tell my clients that if they retain me, when I stand up before a judge is going to presume that I'm asking for something reasonable. A judge is going to presume that I'm looking for something that's in the best interest of children. That's what I've created my career on. This is why when I walk into a courtroom, a judge is going to be inclined to grant what I'm asking for on behalf of a client because the judge knows for 25 years, I have not strayed from that principle of ask for what's reasonable. So that gives my client the same presumption of acceptance by a court, and that's so important going into the litigation process. But while that might be the best strategic approach in being reasonable, it's also the best personal approach because I'm in your life now during your divorce. When I leave, the person in your life is going to be your former spouse or your former partner or the parent of your child. And you're going to have years dealing with that person after I'm in your life. So if in the process of the dissolution of the marriage or the dissolution of the partnership, you are reasonable, you're creating a reasonable basis for co-parenting, a reasonable basis for a post-divorce relationship. And if you can start developing that foundation during the divorce process, during the dissolution process, you are in such a better place personally to proceed in a fair and reasonable and stable way post-divorce and post-dissolution than you would have been if you were unreasonable and you turned the litigation process into a process where the relationship frays more, as opposed to finding a place where you can proceed forward into the future in a far better and more stable place in the relationship. I would have to say my mentor, just as I would have to say my hero, is my father. My father's a lawyer, and when I was 8 years old, my mother asked me at my birthday, blowing out the candles, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to be a lawyer, just like Dad." And I never strayed very far from that commitment to growing up and being like my father. But the way he served as a mentor for me in this practice, and he practices real estate law, not family law. But throughout my years in college and in law school, he always advised me to focus on my writing and said, make sure you improve your writing skills, make sure you focus on your writing skills, because that's what makes a good lawyer. And I really didn't understand that before I started practicing, because you think from the world of Law and Order and every other lawyer show you've ever watched, The lawyering takes place in the courthouse. It's all about standing up and giving that breathtaking performance, and that's what wins your case. But when you start practicing, you learn that 90% of the lawyering are the written submissions that go to the court and that the judge reads before you ever stand up and give your performance. And most of the time, the court's opinion is going to be built on those written summations. So all that time that my father told me, work on your writing skills, hone your writing skills, learn how to create a story with your writing so that the judge is pulled into your narrative before you ever stand up and utter a word. That's what formed my practice. So he was my mentor, my inspiration, my hero, and my mentor in this practice.